story again. I can't figure out why we keep asking the same questions over and over when we know the answer. Kirk Cousins, Viking quarterback. The article says here, Kirk Cousins proving to be the real deal as the new leader of the Vikings. No, he's not. He's proving that once again he's Andy Dalton. Is that Andy Dalton, when you surround him with great weapons, Andy Dalton at one point had Mohamed Sanu, A.J. Green, Tyler Eifert, Marvin Jones, had a great season. And when you put Andy Dalton up against the Steelers, he shrinks every time. Prime time, he shrinks. Kirk Cousins, when you give him Thielen and you give him Stephon Diggs and you give him this team, is really good, and he beats everybody except the teams you actually paid him to beat. So Kirk Cousins and Andy Dalton are mostly the same guy. They're good against everybody except the teams you need him to beat. Kirk Cousins is 4-19 in his career, 4-19 against the teams that are better than 500. And oh, by the way, Andy Dalton is great against everybody except he's 3-12 against the Steelers. In the NFL, night games are usually the games when you face the biggest teams in prime time, good teams. Andy Dalton, and this is for guys who have started over minimum 10 games in prime time, night games, Sunday night football, Thursday night football, Monday night, Thursday night, all that stuff. Andy Dalton's won 32% of those games, and Kirk Cousins has won 29% of those games. And the other two guys with lousy percentages, Mark Sanchez and Matt Stafford. You know, Matt Stafford's fallen into that, but I think he has more talent than Dalton and Kirk Cousins. So, no, I think he's, Andy Dalton is 6'2", 220, not very mobile, average arm. Kirk Cousins is 6'2.5", 215, average arm, not very mobile. They're very good when you surround them with good players, but they don't beat the teams that you really need him to beat. Dalton can never beat the Steelers. He shrinks every time. Great against the Browns, but he can never beat the Steelers. And Kirk Cousins is fine against a lot of people, but, in order for this contract to make any sense, he's going to have to beat Aaron Rodgers a couple times, and he's going to have to beat him once in Lambeau. And he had a chance, and he didn't. So there you go. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
This is interesting, Colin. Paul George says that he would be in a Lakers uniform if the Pacers hadn't traded him to the Thunder before last season. In an interview with Undefeated, George said it wasn't overrated. I wanted to play in L.A. That is where I wanted to go. Had that trade never went down, had I played one more year in Indy, I would be in a Lakers uniform. I wanted to go back home. If that didn't work, I absolutely wouldn't have minded playing for the Clippers.
But he went to OKC, and then he can get a bigger contract in OKC. And
4 years, $137 million.
Yeah, so you can get more money if you go to that team, and that's what happened. And listen, it's hard to recruit against money. If I was recruiting you, okay, and there was another host recruiting you, and they could offer you 25% more money, it's hard to overcome that. Especially if your career is done by 36. Your career's over by 36. Now, you can make money till 56, but in professional sports, it is hard to beat money. It is. Now, if you're Durant and LeBron, you have endorsement wealth, and you're, okay. But for Paul George, and
But how cool is this other host you're talking about?
Well, I mean, I think listen, I wouldn't have made the move he made, but in the end, I don't think the Lakers needed him. And I think Russell Westbrook needs him a lot more.
I think he made the right move. You're absolutely right. He's not going to play basketball forever. And the amount of money, the difference is staggering. So he needed to stay there and make the money that he's making. It's just and look, like he said, had things worked out differently, then he would be with the Lakers.
Listen, if I was his agent, and I looked at all the numbers, and I'm like, I can get another guaranteed year at $33 million. I couldn't go to my client as an agent and say, give up that, go out to L.A. where LeBron's the star, and you may be battling Brandon Ingram for shots. Yeah, it would be hard as a representative of him to give him that advice.
I don't think Paul George has a problem playing with other people. I don't think that's the issue necessarily being the guy, because he's not the guy in OKC either. But the money thing plays a big part in it. Speaking of money, the NBA G League seems to be taking a page out of our Balls book. According to ESPN, the G League will offer a quote-unquote professional path deal starting in the summer of 2019. So this includes select contracts worth up to $125,000 for elite players who are at least 18 years of age but not eligible for the NBA draft.
Now, by the way, I've said this everybody complains about the NCAA. So what this offers is a path. that if you don't want to go to college basketball, go make $125,000. Because I don't believe that you have to pay college basketball players because there's 9 prodigies in America that have to wait 9 months. I've always thought there's 99% of the kids that play college basketball have no chance to be a pro. I don't want to blow up a system. The system should be about them, not the 9 prodigies.
No, college basketball is going to exist without those 9 prodigies, and,
Yes.
and there's way more of the other players
Right.
than there are of the ones that are one and done or that shouldn't go.
So,
to
by the way, if you're a
the
great
NCAA at all.
basketball player at 18 years old, quit banging on the NCAA. There's value in playing with Coach K. There's value in playing with Bill Self.
Well, it wasn't just the NCAA; it was the NBA playing a part in this as well. I mean, they go hand in hand, and this is kind of what the NBA is trying to eliminate, and what LeVar Ball offered with the JBA is that
Yes.
if you don't want to go and play that year in college for whatever reason, like you
Don't.
want to start, you have other professional opportunities that you want to pursue.
Don't go to college.
You know, someone's offering you an endorsement or whatever that you can't take because you're going to college, whatever the reason is. Maybe you just don't want to go to school anymore. Now you have an option.
Yeah.
Now, the G League is kind of interesting
We're
because the
always-
rest of the players are making like $35,000.
We're always
but-
worried about basketball players. Oh, my God, they don't get paid for 9 months in college basketball. Oh, my gosh.
Well, it's not so much about the players. I mean, this is like just not getting paid. I mean, they have families that they're trying to support. They're using their bodies so that they could have a catastrophic
Yes.
injury. Like, there's
Yes.
other factors in it than just, the
No,
NCAA
but
is
Joy,
making
if
billions
you
of
have to
dollars.
at 19 years old wait 9 more months to get $32 million, you're not going to get a ton of sympathy
I
from
mean,
me.
it's not like you're sitting on the couch waiting.
I'm
those
not
9
saying,
months.
but if I had to wait until 40 to get paid a lot, I think waiting at 19, this idea that the NCAA, there's no value in playing for Coach K or Mark Few. Yes, there is.
No, there's value.
Absolutely.
And not every player that comes out of college is a one and done either. So
We're like, once again, the world of basketball takes care of its basketball player. This idea that basketball players are not being taken care of. Here's now another league that pays you a 6-figure salary. By the way, I watched the NBA last year. There's all sorts of G Leaguers in the NBA on good teams.
yeah, of course.
Lakers had one.
Lots of two-way
OKC
contracts.
had one.
Right.
Basketball, if you're good, you'll get paid eventually a lot, or you'll get paid now immediately after high school.
Right. So finally, the fight for LA is a little bit lopsided right now. The Chargers' temporary home, the StubHub Center, holds half the seats of a regular NFL stadium, and they're having a little trouble selling it out. And according to Seth Wickersham, the viability of the Chargers was discussed yesterday at the owners' meeting.
It's a good conversation to have.
And Roger Goodell had nothing but praise for the Inglewood project.
Lots of football, lots of building still to do. And frankly, as you know, we were out of the market for a long time. And we have to earn our way back with our fans. We have to build that relationship back with our fans and make sure that we do it right. And I think both teams are committed to that. It will be something that we have to work at over the period of time. They both have very exciting young teams. I think that will be helpful also. But I think all of those things will come together. But over the next 2 years, that's the work that needs to be done.
Yeah,
I mean, it's tough to move a team to a new market. It's not,
Well-
and you're moving 2 teams at the same time.
Listen, the Raiders are moving. The Chargers are moving. The Niners moved to a different stadium. Rams are just moved. Out west, it's what's interesting is the Rams and the Chargers, they may be the best 2 teams in the NFL right now. Nobody wants to say this. The Rams roster stacked. I could make the argument the Chargers roster is better. And it's weird because the Rams have already hit in L.A. Like, people like the Rams. You
Right.
see Ram shirts. It's one of these things. The NFL rolled the dice, and they made a bunch of moves in a short time with one region of the country. Now, the good news is 2 of the moves, Rams, Chargers, are really fantastically good teams. If they were bad, if they were all like the Raiders right now, you'd
Right.
have a real issue in the NFL.
And the Raiders are going to turn it around, and they're going to have an amazing stadium. And the Chargers are building a new stadium, obviously, also, but they're just managing that. But also, the Rams had a set fan base already here in LA. You know what I mean? Like, the Chargers is a different situation.
Yeah, it's
so.
going to be a struggle until they get into the new stadium. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
By the way, it's interesting. Mitch Trubisky takes on Tom Brady this week. Bears host New England. It's a field goal game, according to Vegas. And Mitch Trubisky came out yesterday and he said, it's awesome. It's going to be cool. I'm going to face Tom Brady. So you'll have some comparisons. When they play this weekend, people are going to say, Tom Brady and Trubisky, look how better Brady is than Trubisky. Here's a comparison that's incredibly fair, and it's going to be kind of fun to watch. Jay Cutler, the former Bears quarterback, and Mitch Trubisky, they are opposites. One nobody liked, and Trubisky everybody likes. Now, Jay Cutler, massive arm, no mobility. Trubisky, great mobility, weak arm. But the difference between them is that Cutler, who had the super arm, and nobody in that locker room liked him. In my years of doing this, of doing what I do for a living, I have never had a star quarterback in the NFL get bad mouth more than Cutler. Executives, my scouting sources, my player sources, nobody liked him in the room, and he eventually underachieved. Trubisky, I've never heard more players say they like him. My sources, everybody in Chicago loves him. He's a total dude's dude, a guy's guy, really humble. What's interesting in Chicago is, will the result be different? I don't think the result will be different. I think eventually Cutler was an unlikable, gifted arm who disappointed. And I think Trubisky will be an incredibly likable, gifted athlete who will never get you to where you want to go. I think there's a real ceiling with Jay Cutler because of his personality, and there's a real ceiling with Trubisky because of his arm. But the difference is, I think they're both going to get you to about the same spot. You're going to lose a lot at Lambeau. You're going to watch Aaron Rodgers beat you late. You're going to have mostly a defensive team that runs well. And in the end, you're going to be disappointed with both. But Trubisky, people love him in Chicago. The players love him. The coaches love him. The owner loves him. The scouts love him. He and Cutler are literally opposites. One with the arm, one with the legs, one unlikable, one totally likable. But my question is, does either at the end make you happy? Because in the end with Jay Cutler, you didn't like him and it didn't work. Here, you like him, and I don't think it's going to – I like the Bears, but I think against Aaron Rodgers next 5 years, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated losing to Aaron Rodgers on those back shoulder throws because there are limitations with Trubisky. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Don't compare him to Tom Brady. That's not fair. But he and Cutler, and, it's funny about Jay. You ever watch that show, Very Cavallari? That internet, that reality show with Cutler and his wife? I mean, he ain't acting. That's who he is. He's the world's grumpiest guy. And he's just a very difficult personality. Good Lord, did he have an arm. Good Lord. Smart guy, Vanderbilt. But he just struggled leading dudes. Dudes didn't like him. Trubisky is the opposite. Totally limited arm. Everybody loves him. And it'll interesting to see how it plays out in Chicago because, man, they have given him some incredibly talented people on defense. We are packed today. Nick Swisher, outspoken, funny, Mr. Energy, joins us in a couple of seconds. Nick Swisher around the corner on two wild baseball series, ALCS, NLCS. The latter continues tomorrow on this network. Been sleeping on a Casper. By the way, I moved last night, Joy, and it was the only thing we had in our house was beds.
Well, that's what you need.
That's all. Now, today, we're moving everything else in, and so I slept on my Casper mattress last night, and despite my Spartan environment, my secluded and grotto, slept great last night on my Casper, and I've been sleeping on it for several years now. It gets shipped to your door for free in a box so small, hard to believe there's a mattress, and you can sleep on it for 100 nights, and if you don't like it, they'll come and get it, refund you everything, and they'll ship it out for free. That won't be the case. You'll love it. I do. Casper.com, and the code is HERD, H-E-R-D. That gets you $50 off select mattresses. Casper.com, terms and conditions apply. It's a risk-free offer. Cool, comfortable, great alignment. Casper, the mattress of the future. Casper.com, code HERD. HERD gets you $50 off select mattresses. Nick Swisher next.